Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bond and AJ Appleton.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. We got the random switch that didn't need to. Yeah, whatever. I'm out.
Don't question it.
I will. Damn you. That's not
I was going to
right.
make the comment, AJ's not here. I'm not going to get switched. And then, of course, it happens.
I'm in your minds.
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Already throwing me off, man. I don't know what to do anymore. Okay, yeah. So we're here. We're trying to do a show, I think. I don't know. Mike's screwing me up. So yeah, anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about some bullpens and closers who aren't doing so hot. Edwin Diaz, Jordan Romano, to name a couple. We're going to jump into a little bit of recap from the Acuna injury. I know it's been talked about a billion times, obviously, but we have not yet. So you get to hear us talk about it. Aren't you excited?
So excited. So excited.
But while you're here, before we jump into all that, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Leave us comments live on the show, after the show, whatever it is. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever it is, follow, leave those 5-star reviews. We appreciate it. And yeah, of course, jump over to FantasySixPack.net, become an all-access member. You're going to get access to the award-winning rankings we've got over there, our daily projections, our football content's coming around. So we got our rankings out there for that. We've got to have our draft cheat sheet out here probably within the next month. And then, we've got all of our DFS content. And of course, you get to talk to us over on our Discord, ask your personal league questions, where Dap is just awaiting by the keyboard for you. He has no friends, so he needs to talk to you.
I don't. I just was telling you, yeah, thanks, man. I told you that in confidence. I was thinking that we had, you don't give me healthcare. So I was trying to use that free therapy session, and thanks a lot, bud. Thanks.
Well, now everybody can be your therapist. Just kidding. All right, man. So let's bring on our guest. We're going to bring on Mr. Mike Carter.
Stop. No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I got this. You're bringing up Mike Carter because I've been a fan of Mike for so long. The guy is a cigar aficionado. The dude writes amazing fantasy. I love his insight. He also is a long-suffering Chicago White Sox fan. He's a great father. I mean, some of the stuff that he writes about his kids is phenomenal. And what he's doing right now with his son Jack, it's great stuff. But if you don't catch him I think he's in 37 sites that he writes for, Mike,
just
give
not
or take.
ours, apparently.
Yeah. He writes all kinds of stuff. I'm just so excited to have him on here because I remember you just came back from a press junket, I believe was where you were at. So just really glad that you took some time to be on the show, Mike.
Oh, thanks that's a great introduction. I appreciate it, guys. I've been really looking forward to coming on with you. I'm glad that you asked, and I'm glad that we could make it work. Ready to talk some ball tonight, and just keeping it real,
Well, absolutely. So,
well, Joe, how are we going to keep it real with Mike today?
So we're going to have some fun, and we're going to talk first about some fun bullpens as I cover his face. Michael Plant. Michael Plant was slow to the draw.
It's okay. It's okay. Cover my face up. It's good.
All right, so we're going to start with the bullpen woes, the closers that we are sad about. And I mean,
are we sad about them all? I mean, almost. I mean, come on.
Pretty much. So, we gotta start with Edwin Diaz. And look, before we jump into Edwin Diaz, we just have to get to. We've got to just play the greatest intro closer music ever, right?
Yes, let's hear it. I love this song.
For those of you who are only listening, this is a video of Tommy Trumpet, whatever the hell his name is, over there. I know Mets fans are gonna kill me. It's supposed to be him, obviously playing the intro song for Edwin Diaz, but it's obviously a spoof here. It's funny. So had to play that just because. Yeah, Edwin Diaz sucked this year, and now he's hurt. So I don't know, man. My question to you, Mike, is like, is there any hope for Edwin Diaz this year? Like, do we think he can come back and become Edwin Diaz that we all remember?
It's funny. We were talking about him last week, and one of the things that I was really concerned about coming into the year was a lot of fantasy players look at a reliever and say, well, there was nothing wrong with his arm. He had a knee injury. And so we're not worried about him coming back. He's going to be the RP1, and we're going to go from there. I was not comfortable with that. I'm not taking a victory lap. I'm not doing that at all. But I wasn't comfortable at all with that, just based on the fact that we hadn't seen him in a while. And Edwin Diaz has had years where he's really kind of been off, right? So we have the memories of him going out there and striking out 50% of guys and all the different things that he was doing. He never looked right to really start the year. Never looked like he was comfortable. And I don't know if it was with the knee or what was happening there. Really what happened for him is that if you kind of take a look under the hood, which we all like to do, the underlying stuff is still really there. I mean, he's got a 35.3% K percentage. The whiff percentage was there. The one problem that he was having, again, though, was the home run ball. He's given up a lot of barrels, and for him anyway. And I think at one point, I could be wrong on this one, but he had given up, I think, about 4 or 5 home runs already, and he had given up 7, I think, the last 2 years combined. And so there were some signs there that maybe some things were not going well for him under the hood, and the walks. He's a high wire act sometime with that. And so I think that it's possible they could come back and hit the reset on that. I mean, the Mets don't really appear to be going anywhere. There are no need to rush him back. If you're looking for saves, I will say this. I think Adam Ottavino was probably the better bet there than Reed Garrett. A lot of people jumped on the Reed Garrett bandwagon after we revealed that he had 82 pitches and was able to throw all of them for strikes for about a 3-week period. That doesn't really mean anything when you have a guy like Ottavino who has 40-some career saves to his name. And we know that managers, whether we agree with them or not, we know that managers love those guys that have that experience. I would look for Ottavino in the short term to be able to get some save chances there. And maybe Diekman every once in a while, too, if they're having to get lefties out in the 9th inning, which is terrifying as a former White Sox that was terrible.
The thing that scared me, right, is when you looked at, 2024 numbers, and when you pull up his Baseball Savant page, I mean, the exit velocity that he's giving up is almost exactly the same. It's everything, and the max exit velocity is, a little bit lower, but everything else is just exploding, right? His expected batting average is up like 60 points. His expected slugging percentage is up 170 points. I mean, it's all these things are just showing exactly what you're saying, right? But the weird part is his hard hit percentage seems like it's in line with last year, where it's like 38.1 versus 38.3, but his K rate's down. So, I mean, percentage. I don't know. Edwin Diaz, like, it seems to me, and again, you tell me, right, is like, if you're throwing that hard, these professional batters, right? Obviously not you or I, but these professional batters can kind of know that they can lay off some pitches. We're not going to touch your wipeout slider, or we're just looking for this, or you have no confidence in that. I mean, he only has 2 pitches, so it's one of those. It's one of those things. Maybe they're just location hunting. I don't know, but it seems like it's always been a problem with him. When he does get hit, he gets hit hard. But this year, he's getting hit hard a lot. So
I'm looking at like his pitch velocities. I mean, like his fastball is down almost 2 ticks. It looks like far on the year. So and his slider is down almost a full tick as well. So like, I mean, I think that's playing a big part in it as well. That's, so I mean, look, you're still talking his 97 miles an hour, but I mean, 99 to 97, I mean, major league, these major league hitters, that's a big difference for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I was right about the home runs. It's 5 home runs that he's given up so far this year in 20 outings. And the last 3 years that he was healthy combined had given up 8. So he was, and the other thing I think too that we tend to look at as well is, is there some bad luck involved here? His granted small sample size, right? But the left on base percentage is 63%. His ground ball percentage is down a little bit more from what it used to be. To your point, the velocity was down a little bit, but xERA is not a perfect stat, but his xERA is 3.09. His xFIP is 2.66. Wow. He definitely can put it back together if he can find the location again and work on the command issues. But I actually would suggest buying low on him if there's an owner that is aggravated by his injury or the Timmy Trumpet situation. I think it might be a guy that could help you out in the second half if it's the right situation.
Are you worried at all? I mean, his barrel percentage, again, I know small, but I mean, the quality of contact he's giving up is pretty crazy. Yeah, I agree with you. Trying to buy low on him, it seems once closers kind of start blowing up, it seems like they explode spectacularly, but you typically have a couple years left. And where the Mets going? Come on now. But I mean, he goes from a 4% barrel rate last 2022 to almost 10.6 this year. Again, that's just nuts.
Crazy.
But I agree with you, Mike. I think that you try to always if you don't go the opposite way on some of these guys, then where are you going to find that value? But man, it's so hard. It's so hard to be that guy that stands up there against the crowd and be like, I believe in Edwin Diaz right now, even though he just got lit up again. But can you hold my hand if I get that trade though? I'll
absolutely. I want to know. I want to know all about it.
Okay. I don't know.
All right. Where are we going next?
The thing is, you don't want to be late with one of these guys, right? That's the thing. You almost want to be the early guy, be like, I got out early, and then 2 months later he implodes. But yeah, I get it. That's why I hate, and I'm going to say this one last time because I say it every show. I hate save only leagues. Holds plus saves is the only way to go. Sorry, Mike. I know this is your whole.
No, I agree. I agree 100% with you. I love it.
Yeah. Saves only leagues is nuts. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes, Joe. Where else are we going around the world? Can't imagine. Let me think. Anybody?
To another Diaz.
Oh,
brother. Yeah, nice.
So I think it's really interesting that the Justice Department just opened up an investigation on the Diaz brothers for, tanking their entire season together. And they think that there's been some type of, foul play, but all because they both have fantasy teams. But I mean, he's, the Alexis Diaz is supposed to be back on the right path after getting, blown up. I think, was it a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. With this, Kevin Newman thing. And my two concerns here, Mike, are one, his home ballpark is the absolute worst ballpark for a pitcher. And two, again, I'm scared. He has Diaz at the last name. I apologize, but I'm a little freaked out at the moment. I have too many shares of him. Settle me down. Tell me it's going to be okay.
I don't think it's going to be okay. I don't think.
Damn.
Damn, dude. I mean, relatively speaking, everything is fine. But I think Diaz is Alexis Diaz. Now that we're talking about, is a guy that I think, if you took a little look under the hood before the season started, and we're looking at closers, there was a lot of helium on him to start the season. He ended really strongly after having some struggle in the middle of the season there. But the thing that really kind of put me off on him, that really bothered me,
was his last name. Oh, sorry.
was the walk rate. I mean, I can't see fit to having closers that have walk rates that are in the double digits like that. And he's continued that this year, and the K rate is a little bit low too. He was, if he's living at 32, 33 K rate and gets a 12% walk rate, like maybe you can live with that, right? Like maybe it's okay. But when your K percentage is 24 and your walk percentage is almost 16, I'm out. Like, I don't care what the underlying stats look like there. I just can't have it. And with all due respect to my good friend Doug Dennis, who writes the bullpens for Baseball HQ, and is a Cincinnati Reds fan, Diaz was a guy that I was not interested in. I just felt like anything that could go wrong in that park, like you were saying, Dap. Like, I think there's just a lot of problems that can happen there. And quite honestly, they've got a couple other guys there with really live arms as well that might actually be better pitchers than Alexis Diaz and Fernando Cruz and the perennial closer candidate Lucas Sims. Now, Sims did get a save this week, but it was because Diaz had pitched 2 days in a row. To your point, Diaz did get 2 saves this week and bounce back, but it's a high wire act. I mean, unless you're desperate for saves, I think I'd be out on him.
Is there an argument though and I'm asking, now this is not me in any way, I'm just telling everybody, and I'm in no shape or form. No, I have a friend who
is
there an argument towards being effectively wild? Like in the sense that you make the batters uncomfortable in the batter's box. They don't know where it's going because you don't know where the hell the ball is going. And you're still able to kind of strike it because they're uncomfortable up there. Is there kind of that going for him at all, you think? Or is it just, he has zero control and that's going to end up killing him, especially in that ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. There's an argument you could make to anything that you want to make an argument to on that kind of thing, right? Like, I mean, no, in all seriousness, I mean, if you look at what he is, and you're looking at that and saying, okay, I could get 3 strikeouts and a save here, or he might walk the next 3 guys and then hit a guy and we lose. I mean, let's put it this way. If he's your SP1, I'd be really worried. If he's your SP2 or you're playing him in certain matchups, like maybe you get him away from Cincinnati and you want to use him in a place like that, it could be okay. I mean, I don't know too many people that like stream relief pitchers, honestly. Like people kind of seem to get stuck in a rut with those guys. To me, I think Diaz is a guy that if you look at him and you feel comfortable with just getting those saves, like if you're in the save only leagues, like you were saying, then he's worth taking a look at. Otherwise, I think that the high wire act for me is it's a little too risky for me to tolerate.
Joe, are you buying antacid this year? I guess does Rolade still? Is Rolade still the sponsor of the relief award, or is that no longer? I remember they used to be the the reliever of the year.
Yeah, they used to have the Rolades relief standings that were in the sporting news every week, right?
Yeah. I think we should be going back to that. That's the one thing I think that they should just pick a different antacid every year. But okay. All right, so you're out on Diaz 1, you're out on Diaz 2. All right, let's see if you're in on this next one.
Jordan Romano. Everybody loves Jordan Romano, right? No.
Everybody loves Ray Romano, right? Raymond, right? But yeah, Romano, boy, really struggling, huh? I mean, he looked okay against the White Sox, as most guys do, at this point. But
sorry, man. I'm sorry.
But I mean, the thing that's weird about it is that there's really, when you look at the underlying stuff, there's really not anything here that we're looking at that makes you feel confident that he's going to rebound. I mean, his ERA and his xERA are about the same. The K rate's way down. The walk rate hasn't skyrocketed yet, which is good, but everything else looks pretty crappy right now, just to kind of be honest. And I think that's the risk that you run. And I'll say this, and I might get vilified for it, but when you get these guys that have literally a 2-pitch mix,
right,
and they throw both about the same amount of the time, and both of them suck at the same time, you're going to really have a problem. And that's where Romano's at right now. I mean, they're hitting the slider, they're hitting the 4-seamer. He's throwing them, exactly the same way. It seems like he's got a little bit less spin on the slider and a little less spin on the 4-seamer than what he's used to. And so the velocity is about the same, so it doesn't seem to be like injury related. It seems to be just kind of like effectiveness related. And quite honestly, boy, we were talking a bunch of smack about the White Sox, and rightfully so. But is there a more disappointing team in baseball than the Toronto Blue Jays? This is a team that's supposedly perennially a contender that doesn't really seem to be able to do much of anything right. So they might be able to give Romano a little bit more leash on this, but they also have Yimi Garcia, who has been lights out fantastic. And Chad Green just came off the IL this week too. So they've got 2 veterans that have a significant amount of closing experience. If they think that they're in this, I don't know if they are, but if they think that they're in this, they might have no choice but to sit Romano down and use him at a lower leverage role and turn it over to Yimi Garcia for a while and see what they can get. And for the love of God, I'm going to say this too. And I say this every time I talk about relievers. Okay. Will somebody please free Nate Pearson What are we waiting for? What is Toronto doing with this guy? Can somebody explain to me? I don't get it.
That's funny. Joe was actually just talking about Nate Pearson behind his back. Go ahead, Nick. Joe.
No, absolutely. What?
No,
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. No. Look, I think you're absolutely right. I think Toronto is either number one or tied with number one of the most disappointing teams for sure. I mean, they made some good moves already this year by not playing Kevin Biggio and playing David Schneider as much as possible. But you know what? I don't know. I like the team just looks like a complete disarray. All the guys you expect to hit. And I think that's the thing too, right? Like you're expecting these huge offensive games. I wasn't expecting all these nail biters. I wasn't expecting these 11-11 games and all these types of things. And it just seems to have carried over in the clubhouse. The thing is, and I forgot the guy's name now, even though I read his name about 6,000 times. The Mets reliever that, or the Mets pitcher that just got, had the blow up and then, got fired the same day.
Yeah, Jorge Lopez.
Jorge Lopez. There you go. You almost feel like that's a microcosm of what's going on in Toronto underneath it, because it's gotta be just absolute pressure there at some point, because something's going to come to light here. Either if they keep sucking like this, considering all the talent that they have, I don't know. And again, having somebody who's supposed to be a dominant closer act like that, you're absolutely right. They need to sit him, bring in Nate, bring in somebody. But I mean, and also just even if you don't put him in as a closer, for the love of God, give Nate Pearson an actual role. This is his role. I'm sick of seeing him kind of bounce all over the place. He's going to be this. He's not that guy. Give him the confidence to know what his role is and just let him sit there and never let Kevin Biggio touch the field again.
Not at 12. You're going to make me edit this twice?
What? Oh, the counter.
You're at 12. We went from 10 to 12 in the span of 2 minutes.
But
congratulations.
All right, I'm sorry. Just real quick, Mike. I ranted at the beginning of the year, and I almost every show I've talked about Biggio, and I was right because I kept saying free Schneider. Right, I said free Schneider. It was his. He came out so hot last year, and then they decided to mess with his playing time all year, and all he's done is hit in 145 at bats, hit 6 home runs, 27 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, and he's 356 on base percentage. Anyway,
like what you're talking about that. No, look, I mean, should we have seen the writing on the wall a little bit with Romano? I think 2022 was obviously great for him. 2023 was good as far as saves, and his ERA was solid. But the WHIP, right? The WHIP went up by from 1.02 to 1.22, right? We saw it starting to go the wrong way for him. But, you're still looking at 36 saves. Everybody wants to say Toronto's, good. They've still got all this talent on the field. So, I don't know. Maybe we should have seen the writing on the wall a little bit. It's hard, man. When you get a guy who's done, gotten 36 saves 2 seasons straight in a row, you're going, why can't he do it again?
Yep. It feels safe, right? There's there's this air of safety around it. But the thing that we have to know about bullpens is that there's never any safety. There's never... Right. You have no assurances that any guy that has a job at the beginning of the year is going to have it at the end of the year. And it sucks. It's really hard to speculate. Romano seemed to be a really safe bet. Yes. But, Romano also had some dings last year too. He had that back and he was having some trouble coming back from that. And, the other thing is with him is that, it's not like he's 25, not that he's old at 31 either, but boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, he all of a sudden looks like he's got a problem. And what that problem is, he's still got 8 saves and that's helpful, I guess. But, my friend Michael Simeone always used to refer to them as painful saves. I'd like to try to avoid painful saves, which is why I don't roster Michael Kopech anywhere. I don't need the pain.
I want to ask you though, so you're talking about, there's no safe closer and I agree with you for the most part.
Right.
Last year, though, felt like a weird year, right? Where nothing changed. It was that was the most boring closer chart we've ever ran.
Yeah. Right. I agree. I totally agree.
Okay. I wasn't alone on field that. Okay. Just
no, it was really weird. And it was a situation where I think a lot of teams had a pretty good idea what they were doing going into the season and kind of stuck with it. And
even if you knew it was a committee, it was just like the committee all year.
Yeah,
Okay, we just knew that. We're fine.
Yeah, and you can sort of read the tea leaves on some of that stuff, right? But I mean, the teams do prefer. It's a hard. I mean, we could talk about this for hours. We could talk till midnight. We won't. But I mean, like, when you think about it, when you think about it, wind me up here. Somebody get me a beer. Let's go. No, but long story short on that, I think that's what really happens, though, is that teams have different philosophies on how they like to use their bullpens and when they use guys and where they use them. And, you know, we saw that era of specialization, and now that's sort of kind of gone by the wayside. And we're looking at bullpens that have two pretty reliable setup guys and then a closer. And then sometimes those guys even can mix and match a little bit, right? So to Dap's point earlier, when you're in a saves and holds league, it's a little bit easier to speculate. You don't have to worry so much about figuring out the guy that's going to get 30 saves. I mean, we know that every team is going to get 25 saves. Who's going to get them? We don't always know. We can speculate, but the thing that I always tell people that they have to do is you really got to listen to what the manager says, but you got to look more at what he does. And so you'll get Dave Roberts up there who'll say, yeah, you know, we're going to use Gratterall and Evan Phillips the same way. No, you're not, you liar. We know what you're going to do. We look at the box score every morning and we see what you did. You want Gratterall in a different spot because he throws hard but doesn't strike anybody out, and Phillips is great. So a guy like that going into the season, Joe, to kind of your point too, like I was really, really high on Phillips, and not because I thought that he had great stuff or that he was going to, you know, blow everybody away, but like the Dodgers trust him. He's on the best team in baseball. You know,
I was all over Evan Phillips.
They're not going to go out. They've been pretty clear that they're happy with what they have at the back end. They were getting Trinan back. They were getting Hudson back. Those guys are a monster at the end. They don't need to go out and get Kenley Jansen or some shitbag like that. Oh, sorry. I don't mean it that way. Kenley's a great one, but like they don't need to go out and get a guy that's kind of washed up and has seen better days. They already got a really good guy. They don't need Kenley Jansen. They don't need somebody like that. Sorry about that.
No, you're not.
Yeah. So is there any truth to that? Like Greg Jewett and the rest of the team over there, Pitch Streamer got together and decided that they weren't getting enough subscribers to their stuff, and they screwed up all the bullpens that people had to subscribe to them this year.
Greg is amazing. He has more energy for that stuff than any person I've ever met in my life. I mean, he is just a remarkable guy. And his team is great too. They're all outstanding guys.
Yeah, but I like you said, it was really amazing last year. You know, yes, we had some injuries. Yes, we had a couple blowups, but overall it was very gentle compared to this year.
Yeah, it's getting rocky.
Yeah. Speaking of that, let's continue on. There's some struggle buses across the board and some pretty surprising teams.
Look at that one at the top.
So we're looking at, this is the month of May, right? Yeah. The worst bullpens. This is in by WAR for bullpens. Baltimore's 25th. Toronto, we just talked about, at 26. Texas at 27. Mm-hmm. The Rays that we've talked about all season long on this show at 28. Colorado, not totally shocked, right? But then the Mets, 30th, which we just talked about them. Like, any hope for any of these teams? We've already talked about Toronto and the Mets. So I guess like one of the other ones that you're seeing on this list, like
especially Baltimore, gives you the most hope? Yeah, especially Baltimore and Tampa Bay, Mike, where we were telling everybody, hey, you know, that's safe. Get at least one share of that bullpen. We love that bullpen. Help.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Baltimore is a great example of, you know, Kimbrel is to me, and I've said this before, and people have kind of come at me, and that's totally fine. It's part of the territory, but Kimbrel can only close. He can't do anything else, right? So
saying that a long time, yes.
Yeah. So when you get him, you're locking yourself into the idea that he's going to pitch the ninth inning, come hell or high water. And there was some high water in May with Kimbrel. But the problem that they have there that's even a bigger problem is that if Kimbrel is not the guy, they don't really have a guy. Yeah. Yennier Cano, he got off to that amazing start last year. Obviously, he was terrific. And him and Danny Kalum are probably their two best guys in that bullpen right now. Mm-hmm. And they're pitching a lot. Those guys come out Cano's at 27 appearances already. Kalum's got 25. And this is
they've both been hit hard this month too.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And when you look at the underlying stuff, their stuff's not that great. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you got, I don't want, relief pitchers coming in there and throwing frisbees. I have this idea in my mind that I want gas and I want sliders. I want people to look foolish. I've seen those guys that throw like the frisbee sliders and stuff like that. They always concern me, And so with Kimbrough, it looks like he's righting the ship a little bit. He seems to go through a funk or two every year. The good news for him is that the K percentage is way high. He's over 36%. His xERA is almost right in line with what his actual ERA is right now. The strikeouts have been there. He's got 12 saves. It seems like he's kind of coming out of it. The problem is with him, though, kind of what we were talking about earlier with Edwin Diaz, is when he's giving up contact, it's hard contact. He's got a 48.7% hard hit rate right now. So, that's not good. So what I think that they should do, or what they will do probably, is, they've been real quiet on the trade front. They've been kind of sitting back with their stockpile of AAA and AA talent. I was begging the White Sox to trade Dylan Cease to the Orioles. They got a good haul for Cease anyway from San Diego, but boy, I really was hoping we'd line up on a corner outfielder or somebody would make me not have to see Gavin Sheets.
You weren't beating the deal we got for Burns, so
right. No,
that was a steal.
Yeah, that was a great trade. And Ortiz has been good, but obviously not Connor Burns, Corbin Burns kind of thing. But that was
I was like, oh boy, who'd we give up? And I was like, wait, that's it?
But Deal. Come on, Deal Hall. He's got no. Is he AAA?
No, he's rehabbing right now. They're going to use him in it sounds like they're going to use him in a multiple inning relief role when he comes back. But to my point that I was trying to make about Baltimore was that boy, they seem like they would really be in the market for a potential closer. However, who are they going to get? Who's going to be available? We don't know that yet. And
who you got?
There might be a guy named Miller, who I'm assuming we're going to be offloading.
Yeah, the A's fan, yeah. So it's funny. You've said how many times that somebody's righting the ship against who?
The White Sox.
The White Sox.
Yeah. Or the A's.
Kimbrel has sort of righted the ship against the White Sox this past weekend.
But everybody's looking for the White Sox to get better when they're struggling a little bit.
But real quick though, just so we're clear here, right? MLB this year is really focused on mental health, and we are all about the White Sox and the Oakland A's really helping people regain their confidence and courage and regaining that ability to pitch. Nice. So kudos to the A's and the White Sox for helping out with that mental health.
I love it.
So I think Baltimore, I think we kind of know what to expect unless they make a trade. It'll be interesting to see if they go get a real closer, what are they going to do with Kimbrel? They've almost got to package him in the deal and get rid of him because he's just terrible as an 8th or 7th inning guy. He just doesn't want to do it. We've said that before. I'm very curious what your thoughts are about Tampa. We had a guest on last week who's really heavy into the Rays, and we got his thoughts on it. But I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, it's not worked as well as what they usually have it work for them. Fairbanks is an interesting guy because I saw a lot of people talk about him in the preseason and say, boy, this is a guy that's got 30 saves written all over him. Yeah, but he's got a couple of problems. And one of the problems is that he's often injured. He's got arm trouble. And he also has this thing called Raynaud syndrome, which is really hard at certain points of the season. When the weather changes, when it's cold, he can't feel his fingers. I don't know how you guys feel about closers. Oh, wow. I like my closers to feel their fingers.
Yeah,
novel concept.
Especially feel the
I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's like a numbing of the fingers.
Wow.
A blood flow issue.
I wonder if I've got that. My fingers will literally turn white when it's super cold, and even if I have gloves on, I wonder. Should I go get tested?
Don't lay naked in the snow, Joe. You'll be okay.
Deal.
No, but the Tampa bullpen is an interesting one because they, everybody always says, and I've written it before, Tampa's going to Tampa, right? We're going to we're going to have the situation, but they've not been able to really lock in those middle guys to kind of get the bridge to the end, right? So, they had Sean Armstrong was a find last year, and Kevin Kelly was a find last year, and Kelly's been fine, but Sean Armstrong has been kind of They have Richard Lovelady that they called up, who's been absolutely bad. Tyler Alexander mostly has been bad. Colin Poche, when he was healthy, was mostly bad. Jason Adam is really not a closer. I know a lot of people think he's a backup, handcuffed to Fairbanks, but I don't think that they really want to use him in that role, even though he's been good. He's got 10 holds. His strikeout rate's really low. Garrett Clevenger's nasty. He's a lefty, and a lot of people are against the idea of lefty closers, but he's got a 34% strikeout percentage, and has really been pretty good. So I see them as sort of a bullpen that's in flux. Like they're trying to kind of sort through the roles, and Kevin Cash is kind of trying to figure out what he's got. But aren't you used to Tampa always finding that one guy or those two guys that like Robert Stevenson last year that they just turned into like an absolute monster? And I feel like they tried to do that with Phil Maton, and Phil Maton's not really kind of gotten there yet,
Yeah.
So like I feel like they're kind of still trying to sort it out. My best guess is that Tampa will probably be okay, but Tampa's also not as good of a team as they have been in the past either. And so there's only so much platooning you can do in the AL East and continue to be trying to dominate, and I think that they're in a weird spot right now with that. I think Fairbanks will continue to obviously get the save chances. He got a save and a win this week, when he's healthy, but it's a high wire act because of the injury history that you run with him there. He's really, really good when he's on, but he's just not on enough sometimes for you to be, I had some people say that they were going to take him RP1, and I thought that, for their team, and I thought that was a mistake.
Yeah, saves holds leagues, I was all about it, but just saves leagues, nah, I was out on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. I guess the last question we've got for you, just real quick here. Are there any kind of closers in waiting that you're really interested in maybe going out and grabbing like early before the switch happens or a trade happens or something like that? Then they get the chance.
Yeah, that's interesting. Obviously we look at teams that suck and try to figure out if they're going to move their closers. The White Sox have Kopech. I think it's a done deal that they're going to trade him. Should they trade him, the guy that I think is the best bet in that bullpen for saves is Jordan Leisure, who's really shown a propensity to come into tough spots and get out of it. Even though he's not a real high strikeout velocity guy, they don't really have another option there. I mean, I don't think Brebbia closes. Jared Schuster's been pretty good for them in a middle relief role, but those are not closer type guys. I think Leisure would be a guy that I would earmark. In Boston, I think it's probably a good bet that if Kenley continues to pitch pretty well, shout out to him, who I disparaged earlier. Every year we keep waiting for the Kenley Jansen slippery slope blow up to be done, and he just keeps getting results. I mean, he throws one pitch. That's all he does. If he goes, I'm guessing Chris Martin will also go, at which point I think Justin Slayton would be a guy that, I would look at as a potential closer in Boston to get those saves there. Now, also laying in wait is Liam Hendricks, who's, trying to blow past like Tommy John surgery and recuperate more quickly than any human being possibly could. And if there's anybody that can do it, it's him, So Slayton would be a guy, though, there that I think that I would be, having some interest in and taking a look at. Los Angeles, Carlos Estevez, he could go to a contender. He wouldn't close. Should he leave? I would guess that it would be Luis Garcia. Not that you necessarily care all that much about that, but he's a guy. And you were talking about Mason Miller. Should the Oakland A's do the unthinkable and trade Mason Miller? I don't think
we always do the unthinkable. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. But we hate our fans.
Lucas Ursig, when he's healthy, and he's not healthy right now, would be a guy there that I think you might want to file a ticket on there and make sure that you have just in case. Other than that, I mean, you kind of scan around. Tanner Scott's probably a good trade guy.
The Nats got Finnegan. If they get rid of him, Hunter Harvey slides right in easily, I think, right?
Yeah, Harvey's got the capability to do it. I think he's just kind of waiting for the opportunity. I mean, he's actually probably a better pitcher than Finnegan. I would argue. Although Finnegan's been good, I think if Finnegan gets traded, he probably doesn't close on the next team he goes to. But
Right.
Harvey would be definitely the guy there. You know, he's got the great pedigree. His dad was a great closer, and Harvey's got like 16 holds or something on the year. He's been lights out. So he's really just
they're both phenomenal. Like as far as the numbers this year when it comes to that stuff. So
isn't it funny though? Too, like just a note on Finnegan real quick too. Like people love to disparage that guy. People love to say, "Oh, he's not this or he's not that." But if you were at the beginning of the season, if you took Brandon Finnegan over Alexis Diaz, you're probably winning your league right now.
Well, so it's funny in Raz Slam, I got like one of my strategies is to go like I like to accumulate the good closers because usually they just fall down the ranks. Like, and I think a save is worth like 8 points. It's something ridiculous, and like, but nobody really realizes it. So, but like they were all getting scooped up. So at the very end, I was like, screw it. I'm just taking both nationals because I wasn't quite sure which one was going to get it. And it's a best ball, but it's better ball. So you can actually, you can add drop twice during the season. And the first one's like the second week of the season. So it's like super early. So I was like, well, I'll know by that point which one's the closer. I'll just drop the one. And I did. I dropped Hunter Harvey because he doesn't do me any good in a points league. But so yeah, I took the chance on one of them and it worked out. So it's just kind of funny.
Can I just throw out a far-fetching, one just that it's bothering me. I think the Cardinals trade Hensley because they have Jojo Romero, who's just absolutely been lights out. Now, the Cardinals have a lot of holes in other places that they could probably use some of those assets. That's one where Jojo Romero is so darn good. Unlike the Jordan Romero, please don't get the wrong Romero. If it just says J Romero, make sure you're getting the right Romero off waivers.
Romero, Romano, whoever, right?
Yeah, right. Matter. Yeah. But I think that's just one where St. Louis is like, hey, you know what? We got enough assets out there that we need to kind of figure out. If they're going to make a deep run, I think they're going to need to get rid of Hensley and just try to get some stuff back there. That would be my one thing I'm putting out there as if I had to get, quarter way point.
More of that talk, maybe.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to put that out there. That's my one thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, sorry. The Cardinals front office is calling me right now. Yes. Yeah. No, I would trade him. Yeah.
Shut up, Dap. That's what they're telling you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's put the book to put the bed. The bullpen talk. Put the book. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about now.
Put the book in the bed. What?
I have no idea. Dude, I'm tired.
I hear that.
I want to go to bed. We got to talk, unfortunately, about some Ronald Acuna.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, we saw, as we see here in the tweet from Fox Sports, MLB down, left ACL tear. This is now his second ACL tear in 3 years. I mean, it is what it is. It sucks. So the real question that everybody cares about now is obviously in redraft, you're dropping him. Who's the replacement for him? Right off the top of my, I honestly think you're kind of streaming this spot for a while until you find somebody that's really good in most leagues. If you're in a shallower league, maybe you're going to get lucky and find somebody off the waiver wire that probably shouldn't be there. But I'm looking at, kind of your standard 12, 14 team leagues, 5-6 bench players. Matt Vierling right now is one of the hottest players. If he's out there and he's only 13% rostered on Yahoo somehow, I mean, this may not be a thing in a week and a half, 2 weeks from now. But right now, I mean, I don't know how you can go wrong taking Matt Vierling.
No,
that's my number one.
Yeah,
so,
I think Matt Vierling's great, but I'd like to raise you another player that is long forgotten. And Kevin Pillar, who is doing his best Mike Trout impersonation over the last 7 games, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 429 average, 455 on base, 762 slugging.
Jesus.
If you go to 15 games, last 15 games, 5 home runs, 20 RBIs, only 9 strikeouts, 4 stolen bases. I am sorry. I'm going Kevin Pillar. And then I don't know if you ever remember that very famous movie quote, we can, from Moneyball, we can remake him by taking multiple players. Grab Kevin Pillar, and then the guy you need to grab for those stolen bases is David Hamilton, shortstop for Boston. He doesn't play that often, but when he plays, he steals bases. He has 8 stolen bases in 32 games. And he gets on base. He's 330 on base percentage. You get him, you get Kevin Pillar, and David Hamilton, like I said, doesn't play every day, so he's available everywhere.
You know what's funny is what's funny is that I just wrote about him in my Rotoballer piece that came out yesterday on Guys to Stream.
I apologize. Won't happen.
No. Oh no. No, it's a great choice. I mean, Hamilton was a guy that I wrote about in there as like, he doesn't play, but when he plays, he runs, So maybe you can kind of Frankenstein this Acuna thing back together a little bit. Another guy that I would just add into that conversation, I think, Tommy Pham has been really good for the White Sox. Yes. He's playing every day.
Yes.
And he's doing a little bit of running. He's hitting a little bit of power. He's playing every day, which is kind of appealing. Obviously, Acuna had not hit for very much power this year. The stolen bases were really nice, but obviously we were kind of all waiting for that power to come. And if you're looking for power, a guy that's on the waiver wire who should not be is JJ Bleday, who's hitting second in an Oakland lineup and actually hitting home runs.
Yes.
So you can kind of
in that stadium, which is crazy.
Yeah. Well, he's a guy that when he got drafted, everybody was like, man, we don't know if this guy's ever going to hit, but his power is like light tower, like epic power. And Oakland has no reason not to play him in center field because they have a guy named Esteury Ruiz, who Jack Carter's a better hitter than Esteury Ruiz. I'd rather have Jack Carter go up to bat in a major league game than Esteury Ruiz. I'm hands down.
Just in case you don't know who Jack Carter is, you can pick him up right now on the waiver wires. He's only 1% rostered. I believe, Mike, you have the only share.
Yes.
Go out right now.
He's my favorite player, guys. He's always been my favorite player. But
he is awesome.
You can kind of patch this together. I mean, if Acuna was at 2020 at this point, you'd be like, well, geez, I'm dead in the water. But he's not then. So there's no reason to lose hope.
I mean, there's Jesse Winker out there too. He's had 5 stolen bases in the last couple of weeks. I mean, there's guys out there that, you just ride the hot hand for a little while, then maybe you get lucky and it just continues on. But I think right now you just, as you guys were saying, Frankenstein it all together, even if it's just kind of, and you might even get spot for a little while.
You might even get lucky with like Adam Duvall, who's going to probably be playing a lot of right field there. Right. He's known to go on 5-6 homer weeks as well too. Yes. So like just pay attention. And I think what you said, Joe, about streaming that is a really, really good take on this one.
All right, Mike. Yeah. Here's my question to you before we leave off Acuna, because we always talk about redraft. Let's talk about Dynasty for 1 second. I know we're going to lose all of our viewers. Just 1 second. All right. So you see the guy who owns Kyle Tucker out there.
Yeah.
You have Acuna. If you're the Kyle Tucker owner, are you taking Acuna plus, let's say Acuna plus, some let's say one of the top, pitchers under 25, whoever that is in your head. Mm-hmm. Because if you do that trade, you're expecting Acuna to come back and be Acuna next year.
Yeah.
Do you, are you expect, would you take that trade if you're just Kyle Tucker with Acuna plus? Because at the beginning of the season, you're taking that trade 100 times out of 100.
And Dad's asking for a friend. This is real this time.
Yeah.
I
don't have friends, Joe. Thanks.
I'm your friend. Thanks,
Mike.
I'm going to be honest, and this might not be good, but I've never thought that Acuna was going to even come close to approaching what he did. And people who were taking him 1-1 I was like, I'd rather, but then what I did 1-1 was I took Strider. That didn't work out. That didn't work out well either. But I love Kyle Tucker. I love the fact that he plays every day. I love the fact that he doesn't play for Dusty Baker anymore and actually hits in a good spot in the lineup. And I think Kyle Tucker is, like, in my mind, I think of him as like Betts is like number 1, Soto number 1A, and then like Tucker is kind of like in that mix for me too with top outfielder. I would not trade Kyle Tucker unless I was blown away by something. My worry about Acuna is this. If you really kind of look at what he did last year with the strikeout rate and everything that happened with him was just phenomenal. And I looked at that and I thought, oh my God, can he really sustain that? Can he continue to do that? And it was starting to creep up a little bit. Now, small sample size, right? Starting to creep up a little bit. And he knows that if he's not hitting for power, that he can still run. Now he's got 2, ACL tears in either leg. Is he going to come back and he's still going to do that? Is he going to look at that and say, I'm going to back off a little bit? I'm not going to, maybe I'll bat third instead of batting leadoff. Maybe I don't steal 40 bases anymore. Like, he's still going to be really valuable. I see him more bumping down to the back end of the first round in like real high stakes leagues. I just don't think you can take that kind of risk with him anymore.
All right.
Well, I mean, and you saw it like even the year that he returned, right? I mean, he still 29 bases, but yeah, to expect 70, even 60 stolen bases was probably asking a lot. I don't know. It just, I get the new rules and everything, but yeah, I'm actually concerned. I really am with him.
All right, real life question now. You are managing, or you are the GM for the Braves, and you continue to get people to sign these ludicrous contracts for play for 10 years at $2 a year, whatever. you have 2 team options coming up in 2027, 2028 for 17 mil each. Mind you, Acuna is making only 17 million, which is still crazy through 2026. Right now, as it stands, what is your percentage of picking up those team options?
Well, that cheap, I think it's going to be really high. I mean, he's only 26. He could definitely bounce back. I think that at that price, it's a no-brainer. But I also find it interesting that they've not really approached the idea of doing like a massive long-term. They like you said, Dap, they get really creative with their contracts and get guys to buy into the culture. Right. But now with like Strider having been hurt and now Acuna being hurt, boy, they got a couple question marks there about how they want to play the rest of the season. And let's be honest. I mean, Matt Olson has not been Matt Olson. Austin Riley has not been Austin Riley. And so there's no guarantee that you're going to be in it year after year. And this year it looks that the NL East is primed for the picking, and Philadelphia seems to be wanting to show everybody what they can do. And they're one really good pitcher away from being the best team in baseball, right? So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
Well, I mean, I guess the only concern I would have is, are they going to sign Acuna to a $400 million contract, but it's all paid in 2060? So
yeah, right. I mean, there's the possibility of that, but you're also talking about a guy that's a little bit of damaged goods now, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
It's not like he broke his index finger. This is his wheels are his life, and if there's a setback or if there's anything that kind of goes along with it, or he decides he doesn't want to do it anymore, he turns into Eloy Jimenez and doesn't want to work out. Anything could happen.
That's how you really feel, Mike.
Eloy is a dog, and I'd say it to his face. He's a dog.
What about is there anybody on your team you like right now? On your team being the White Sox? Yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I like Corey Lee. I like him catching. I don't know why. This is funny. I don't know if you guys saw this. Totally unrelated. They had a story on Martin Maldonado today, and he went to the eye doctor. He needed glasses. Like anybody who saw him hit didn't know that he couldn't see the ball, which is pretty interesting. Somebody made a joke the other day that his batting average was lower than the state legal limit for drinking. Drinking and driving. Hey, his batting average is less than 0.08. If he got pulled over, he'd be safe from a DUI.
Wow.
No, I like Corey Lee a lot. I like Jordan Leisure quite a bit. I really wish, I don't know what they're doing with Brian Ramos. I wish they would just let him play, but they sent him down today. I guess they want Danny Mendick to play more. Why, I don't know. I think they've got some prospects coming. They got some pitcher. Their AAA pitching staff is absolutely absurd right now and lights out. So there's some reason to be hopeful, but none of the position players exactly strike confidence into you at all. So,
well, fun.
All right. So, where are we at here? So, jumping over into our kind of rapid fire last topics here. Speaking of needing glasses, Mr. Angel Hernandez retired. Hey,
I was waiting for this to come up.
Come on, had to do it. So we're gonna have some fun here. I mean, let's just say it like it is. He was fun to make fun of. bad. And when he signed his retirement papers, it's just it was a fantastic signing here. So we got that. The jokes on Twitter and social media all over the place they were gold, man. He's taking selfies of himself and just missing the mark. It's just like they're so good. And then I had to bring up because that mentioned the whole fact that oh
my God, the selfie
one. Yeah, I realized I forgot to change my tab.
That's so great.
There.
That's so great.
And then Dap, I realized, was bringing up, and I might mute it because there's a lot of cursing. We can just read it, but it's the John Boy Media of this Bryce Harper just losing his mind. I'm gonna fast forward it to the actual moment when it happens here.
Now, mind you, he's on the third base side. So
yeah.
Terrible. Oh, you're done. Are you kidding me? Terrible. You're garbage. There's no fucking way. Are you shit?
I mean, this is the time. I remember this happening. This was hilarious. I mean,
here's the thing. Has anybody had a job where they are universally thought as the worst person at that position and kept a job for as long as he has?
I have.
I mean, I can name a few people I've worked with, but I won't right now.
But I mean, he has got to have some blackmail on the commissioner and commissioners that he's worked on. I mean, there's just he had the lawsuit when they tried to discipline him. I mean, he's such a jack.
I mean, didn't even know about this. I just searched for Angel Hernandez. Umpire auditor. I had no idea this Twitter account existed until today. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Angel Hernandez. You gave me more content than I could have possibly dreamed of. I don't deserve
you.
I mean, this is gold.
That's the only person thanking Angel Hernandez is the people that I make content off.
Oh my God, that's crazy. It's so funny.
Oh man.
And then Dab, you brought this up.
This is crazy.
The fact that he had what 3? Is this the right clip?
No. This is another thing where we're doing against your Sox, man. He
it's a little bit. It's a little bit.
Yeah, it's
who knows? I pull up too many.
So he had 3 calls overturned in an ALDS. Blew my mind. I think it's at the top of that post there. Am
I just in the wrong spot here?
Yeah, you're just in the wrong spot. It's okay. I'm used to working with you in the wrong spot. But the fact that not 1 overturned, but 3 in the same game he gets overturned, and it's in the ALDS. You wonder why he is not part of any crew that ends up in the World Series or anything like that. The guy's terrible.
Oh, here's again.
And when I saw the overturn, I was like, oh, he got 1 overturn, 2, but 3 overturned. You should just at that point he should be ejected. That's just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, he's Wyatt Langford struck out first 3 pitches, all balls.
17 feet
horribly off the plate.
None of them were strikes.
Oh man, that's just
this thread is entertaining.
Yeah.
It's good to see him go.
Yeah. Baseball will be better for it. Oh my gosh, it's been horrible forever. But yeah, I just thought we'd have some fun with it.
Yeah. Anytime I saw Angel Hernandez playing, I was always worried. Honestly, he was the one umpire I would want to know if he was behind home plate, and if my pitcher was pitching. That's the only umpire I'd ever care about. I know. Anyways. All right. What's next, Joe?
So we're going to skip forward here to something new we're doing, and it's called Fun Tweet of the Day. I added this in later today. You sent me something, man.
Is it about the White Sox?
No, we're not going to pick on. Well, maybe. No.
No, it's not.
It is not. But here we go.
Mike, look at this.
We've got this fun
baloney.
tweet here, right?
I sent you this today.
Hey Siri, is not your night. Did not age well.
Yeah. So the A's playing the Rays, and the announcer says, "Hey Siri, it's not your night.
It's not your night."
Ooh. Yeah. The announcer thinks she's all funny.
Later.
Oh my God. Oh baby.
Smashed it.
Siri, it's not your night.
Yeah.
She had that one queued up, man.
Yeah,
she was
ready.
She was waiting for that one.
She was so happy. She's like, I got that in.
Oh my God.
Listen,
that ball was tattooed. Listen to it hit the bat.
On pitch later.
That ball might have been 400 miles an hour off the bat. Holy cow.
Absolutely
Holy
smashed.
Cow.
And I mean, that's kind of the place you want it. You know, you look inside, outside. I mean, but he was just like, nope. Oh God.
Right.
I don't need to see any more things.
How he crushes that ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, right there.
Guys will hit straight fastballs.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how fast it is.
I mean, just drop the bat. Just
And that's launched towards left field and the payback.
Yep. The A's have amazing stadiums. They have an amazing organization. They have amazing announcers. So I enjoy my misery.
Yeah, that's good times, man. That was a fun one, man. You sent me that and you were like, we gotta fit this in the show. And I was like, fun tweet of the day.
There you go. One pitch later.
That's awesome.
All right, so let's move on here. Injuries real quick. Alex Manoah, Yu Darvish, Pete Alonso, Max Muncy, James Wood, and Junior Caminero, unfortunate ones. You know, they were supposed to be getting the call up here soon. And I believe Zach Gallen got hurt tonight. Second pitch of the game or something, second batter of the game got pulled. So that's not good. Mike, what we do here is we just comment on one of these guys, most concerned about, most fantasy impactful, however you want to spin it.
Well, I'm a little worried about Manoah. I mean, it seemed kind of foreboding. I mean, he's got a great matchup there against the White Sox, and all of a sudden he can't go. It sounds like Pete Alonso's thing was really just a bruise. Dave Funnell covered that today for Fantrax and was talking about it. And I think, poor Mark. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, man.
Well, that's hard. Don't know what to tell you there. Stay strong. But you know, I think the one that a lot of people are going to worry about is probably Darvish, right? Just because of the fact that he's older, and it seems like every year we go through this kind of thing with him where he's got some type of an arm concern every year, and so to me, I guess I would say Manoah looked like he was kind of on the comeback trail, but I think we're going to be inconsistent with that.
Yeah,
probably Darvish. I mean, Alonso's doesn't seem like it's a long-term injury. James Wood, it sounds like he's going to be out maybe a week, but we're expecting him up by the end of the month of June, I believe, if he's healthy. There's no reason he should be down where he's at. And he's going to be an interesting guy to watch because the people are really split on him. The scouts are really kind of like, I think he can play center field. And other ones are like, he's probably a first baseman. And we were down in the Arizona Fall League, for First Pitch Arizona. I talked to a couple of scouts on the side and just asked them some questions about him. And there's a lot of split on him as to how well he's going to hit and what that hitting is going to look like. Is he going to be a high batting average and home run guy, or is he just going to be a straight up power guy? So I guess we'll see what happens when he gets here.
Mm-hmm.
Is Darvish, was that an arm injury? I thought that was his hamstring. Is that incorrect?
Oh, is it? Did I get it wrong? I might have it. I might be wrong on that. Anytime you have a 37-year-old pitcher with parts that don't work right, I'm a little concerned.
No,
it was hamstring tightness though. Yeah,
was it? Yeah, there's a lot of miles on that arm too.
No, absolutely. No. Hey, look, absolutely. And anytime he's going to be
he's
out
pitching great though.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, the guy here I'm worried about is, I mean, look, I think Alex Manoah. Every time I want to put a fork in him, when he had the 85 ERA or whatever,
yes.
he kind of seemed like he had it together. Then he got blown up again, and just I don't know. I think he's getting to the point where he's no longer a starter. He's going to be like an amazing closer / setup guy type thing. But I think this is kind of close to putting a fork in him as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean it's important. We talked about Caminero last week a bunch with the Rays talk. We're gonna not have him even playing for 4 to 6 weeks. So who knows at this point? We were kind of hoping he might get the call relatively soon and maybe could spark the Rays. Who knows? They need something, but it's really unfortunate there. So. All right, so we're gonna close out here with our question of the day, and oh man, we dogged the Cardinals early on this year, but they are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. Is it time to trust them again? And just to give you some stats here, since May 12th, when they've kind of gone on this run, right, of a lot of wins, they have the second highest WRC plus as a team, only behind the Yankees at 134. Yankees are at 141. So their offense is coming alive, and we talked about Helsley. He's been great. Their bullpen has been pretty good. Their starting pitcher kind of rocky, but the bats are starting to come alive. Goldschmidt had a 2-bomb game just the other night. They're looking pretty good. Nolan Gorman's just crushing it right now too. So what's your thoughts on St. Louis, and are you ready to trust them again as like a team who can contend, and also from a fantasy, since that's kind of what we're here for?
Yeah, that NL Central is kind of a weird division right now, right? I mean, Milwaukee was kind of running around there with it for a while, and they've kind of cooled off. The Cubs have crashed back to earth. They're under 500, just like the White Sox now, I would like to point out. Not that I have any animosity towards the Cubs or Cubs fans or anything like that. But long story short, I think the Cardinals are an interesting squad just because of the fact that people wrote them off really early on. Kyle Gibson's actually pitched pretty well. Lance Lynn's actually pitched pretty well recently too. Do I trust those guys? Absolutely not. But Arenado and Goldschmidt have track records. Wilson Contreras will be back at some point. They're making do with Herrera behind the plate. They're going to get Tommy Edman back at some point, it would appear. To your point about Nolan Gorman, he's been hitting the crap out of the ball. So my question would be, why not them in the National League Central? Do I think that they're a World Series contender? No. Do I think that they can win that division? Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
they're right there. I mean, they're only 5 games back all of a sudden. Who would have thought they had one of the worst records of baseball 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, it's nuts.
When we were putting flowers on their grave, what did I tell you? I said that, I'm with you on it, but at the same time, it's the Cardinals. It's one of those things where, I said that more than likely they're going to pivot and find something because they just are.
Mike, do you have Mike LaPlante? Do you have this tape? Dap keeps saying he said this. I'm thinking he's full of it. No, I'm just kidding.
But the other thing too is I know that I mentioned trading Hensley, but I mean they got a pretty stacked AAA squad as well. Future Hall of Famer Victor Scott II, Thomas Sagisi. I'm gonna butcher that name, but he's phenomenal as well. They got Tink Hence, which is in AA. I mean, he could probably be coming up soon. So they got reinforcements in spades along with the people on their IL and all those things. So this is sustainable for sure. Along with like what you were saying, Mike, the division kind of seems very up in the air. So I always feel closers are one of those people that if you got a good setup guy, might want to trade them, but they got assets and they can definitely make a run for this if they want to. So if this continues on,
they've got that 3-headed monster at the back end, right? Kittredge and Romero and Helsley have been fantastic, and so they're able to kind of spin that. I think there's other thing that is interesting to point out with a veteran team like what they are. They got poo-pooed a lot in the wintertime for signing some of the guys that they did, but those guys are older and it takes them a little bit longer to round into shape. And the weather warms up and all of a sudden, they're in a little bit better area than where they had been when they started spring training. So they got a bunch of pros there. And the other guy that I've been really impressed with, kind of going back to what we were talking about Frankenstein and Acuna, is Mason Wynn. Mason Wynn's been really good for them. You know, he had a long hitting streak. He might still have it as far as I know. He's stealing some bases. He's hitting about 300. It's a guy that, you know, is on the waiver wire in a lot of places, you know, might be able to help you out.
Yeah, I think their ultimate downfall, especially like if they make it to postseason, will be their starting pitching. I mean, like they're all older guys. I mean, Sonny Gray's their ace, which is fine, but like, let's be real, Lance Lynn, Mikolas, Kyle Gibson, those guys aren't carrying you through a postseason against the Dodgers and
or the Phillies.
But,
yeah,
you know, they're gonna, you know, they can compete in the Central. And that's going to be about it. But
Agree.
It's been a great turnaround story. You know, it looked ominous to say the least.
And look, you know, they also, I mean, when they signed Sonny Gray in the offseason, I was like, oh, great, a 34-year-old Sonny Gray. That's awesome. And, you know, and now they're looking at, you know, now the rumors are, who are they going to try to pair with Sonny Gray? So I'm going to be, this is one of those parts. The NL Central is always really interesting to me. It's going to be interesting to see if the Cubs considers themselves a contender or if they're going to be one of those where they wait, you know, last week, like they were this past, you know, just kind of run out of gas. I mean, they definitely have a lot of good pieces there as well. But yeah, this is really going to be interesting to me. And it's going to be, you know, are they going to buy or are they just going to pull up guys from the minors? That's going to be the other kind of key there for me with the Cardinals.
It will be interesting.
Like the Cardinals, honestly, you almost have to look at it and just be like, yeah, I mean, we're okay, but we're okay. Like, we should not mortgage the future for this year because this year probably isn't going to happen. It'll be a good story, but you know, how many times do we get teams that do that? Like, I feel like the Tigers have done it in years past. They're sort of in the mix and they make a trade, and you're like, well, that didn't work. You know, like teams that are like, just right there, they're at 500, and you're like, you're not beating the Dodgers or the Braves or the Phillies or whoever. It's like, just no.
So the one thing though, compared to the one difference between the Cardinals team this year versus last year is last year we were like, hey, when's Jordan Walker getting called up? Right, he could help the team. You know, he's destroying the minors, and this year, the last 7 games of the minor league, he's hitting 071. With 5 strikeouts. I mean, he's
lost. Yeah,
he's lost complete confidence there. So you're not looking for that at the moment, which is crazy to me, considering, you know, he was still being drafted top 5 rounds in some leagues where I was seeing that draft. And last year he was huge amount of helium. So watching that downfall, it's going to be interesting if he can bounce back and help out the Cardinals before the end of the season.
Yeah. All right, man. Mike, that is it for the show. I want to thank you for coming on, and before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find your stuff this season and what you got going on, man.
Oh, I'm all over the place, guys. You know, so I do the bullpen reports on Saturday for Fantrax. I'm doing 2 pieces at Rotoballer right now as well. I do the starting pitching waiver wire finds on Sunday. And then during the week, I'm also helping with finding stat category fillers, runs, stolen bases, home runs, RBIs. I just picked that up this week. I did it for the first time yesterday, so that came out on the site yesterday. And then my buddy Chris Torres and I are hosting the Fantasy Baseball Beat on a weekly basis, where we have beat reporters come on and talk about baseball with us. Our next one's going to be Scott Merkin talking about the White Sox. It'll be about 6 minutes long. And then we'll be we'll be good to go. But yeah, so that's where all my stuff's at. I'm at Rotoballer, I'm at Fantrax, and then also doing the podcast, the Fantasy Baseball Beat with Chris Torres. And yeah, enough to keep me busy, no doubt. Thanks for having me on tonight. I really appreciate you guys asking me, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope to be able to do it again soon with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely have you on again, man. Thanks for coming on, and yep, good luck this season. All right, everybody. We will be back in action next week. AJ will be back from his cruise. He's actually back tonight, but he's like asleep already. So I was just like, nah, don't even worry about it. This wasn't worth it. So, but yeah, thank you for tuning in. And again, hit that subscribe, like button, follow, leave those reviews. We appreciate it. Dap, any last final
check
word?
out my waiver wire report, a video that goes up Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
And you will. I'll cover the top 6 waiver wire. You know what, Joe? It's
so easy.
If it wasn't for the amazing healthcare that you provide me, along with the ample paycheck, I would put up with this. I would. This is ridiculous.
Because this is such a full-time job. Anyway, sorry, I give you the privilege to talk baseball with me. I mean,
dealing with you is a full-time job, Joe.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had the work ethic like Mike does. Not our Mike, the Mike that Mike Carter.
I was gonna say who?
Mike Carter. I mean, he's on 85 websites, has 36 articles that he publishes every week. I want to be him when I grow up.
Yeah, Mike, if you're bored, we we might find something. All right. See y'all next week.
Yeah.